Welcome to Manila Updates TV. Please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon for more updates. Breaking news tonight. Abu Dhabi has been rocked by a devastating missile strike, plunging the city into chaos and uncertainty. The attack has sent shockwaves not only through the city, but across the entire region, as emergency vehicles race through the streets and journalists scramble to cover the unfolding crisis. In the early hours, as dawn broke over the city, Abu Dhabi's residents awoke to scenes of fear and confusion. A missile, reportedly launched from Iranian territory, crashed into the very heart of the city, shattering the sense of security that many had taken for granted. The impact left a trail of destruction, with smoke rising above the skyline and people pouring into the streets, desperate for answers and safety. Air raid sirens wailed across the city's skyline, echoing through the buildings and sending a clear message of danger. Residents, many still in their pajamas, rushed for shelter, seeking refuge wherever they could find it. The sound of alarms and hurried footsteps filled the air, creating a tense and surreal atmosphere. Phones across Abu Dhabi buzzed and vibrated with urgent emergency alerts, warning citizens to stay indoors and avoid affected areas. Social media lit up with frantic messages as people checked on loved ones and tried to piece together what was happening. The terrifying sound of explosions echoed through the city, rattling windows and shaking buildings. Residents described feeling the ground tremble beneath their feet as the force of the blast reverberated for miles. It was a moment of pure terror, one that will be etched in the memories of those who experienced it. Witnesses reported seeing a missile streaking across the night sky, followed by bright flashes that lit up the horizon. The explosion illuminated the city in a harsh, unnatural light, making it clear that this was no ordinary night in Abu Dhabi. The United Arab Emirates air defenses sprang into action within moments. Fighter jets roared into the sky, and missile defense systems launched interceptors in a desperate attempt to neutralize the threat. Military vehicles mobilized throughout the city as authorities worked to protect civilians and prevent further damage. Despite these rapid defensive measures, the missile was not fully intercepted. The strike left several buildings damaged, with smoke billowing from the impact site. Emergency responders rushed to assess the situation, searching for survivors and tending to the injured. Debris rained down on busy neighborhoods in central Abu Dhabi, forcing crowds to flee in panic. Streets that were once bustling with life became scenes of chaos as people dodged falling rubble and tried to find safety amid the confusion. In a somber press conference, the Ministry of Defense confirmed the attack and addressed the nation. Officials expressed their condolences to those affected and promised a thorough investigation into the incident, vowing to hold those responsible accountable. Authorities urged the public to remain calm, assuring everyone that all emergency teams were on high alert and fully prepared to respond to any further threats. Ambulance and fire crews, along with police and military personnel, coordinated efforts to restore order and provide aid where needed. This unprecedented incident marks a new and troubling chapter for Abu Dhabi, a city once considered a safe haven in the Middle East. With heightened security and a tense atmosphere, residents are left to grapple with the reality of a changed city, as the world watches closely for what comes next. As the city of Abu Dhabi lay under a blanket of darkness, most residents were deep in sleep, unaware of the events about to unfold. The city lights twinkled quietly, and the hum of daily life had faded into the calm of the night. Suddenly, far away in Iran, a missile was launched, its fiery trail cutting through the night sky. The missile traveled swiftly, crossing borders and entering UAE airspace, heading straight toward the heart of Abu Dhabi. Inside a darkened control room, military radar operators detected the threat almost instantly. Within seconds, alarms blared across the capital, their urgent wails echoing through empty streets and waking many from their sleep. UAE defense forces sprang into action, launching anti-missile interceptors that streaked upward with blinding speed. The sky lit up as these defense systems attempted to neutralize the incoming missile, their bright trails visible for miles. In homes and high-rises, anxious residents peered out from behind curtains, their faces tense with fear and uncertainty. Families huddled together, listening to the distant sounds of sirens and explosions, hoping for safety. The interceptors met the missile high above the city, causing a violent explosion in the sky. While much of the missile was destroyed, fragments continued their deadly descent toward the city below. A remaining section of the missile broke through and struck a busy area near the city center. The impact created a blinding flash, followed by a thick column of smoke rising above the skyline. The shockwave shattered windows in nearby buildings, sending shards of glass flying. Smoke quickly filled the night air, making it difficult to see and breathe for those nearby. Cars parked along the streets were tossed and damaged by the force of the blast. Debris littered the roads, illuminated by the flashing lights of emergency vehicles arriving on the scene. Witnesses described a deafening roar, followed by a powerful wave of heat and force that knocked some to the ground. The chaos and confusion in those first moments were overwhelming. Emergency crews responded with remarkable speed, racing through smoke-filled streets to reach the injured. Paramedics worked tirelessly, providing first aid and comfort to those caught in the blast. Firefighters and police officers coordinated their efforts, battling fires, clearing debris, and ensuring that everyone was accounted for. Their teamwork was crucial in restoring order amid the chaos. The Ministry of Defense later held a press conference, publicly praising the bravery and quick thinking of the first responders. Their actions, officials said, had saved countless lives that night. Government officials addressed the public, reassuring everyone that safety was their top priority. Military analysts began examining the missile debris, determined to understand how the missile had partially evaded the defense shield and to prevent such an incident from happening again. The missile strike caused serious damage in Abu Dhabi's downtown business district. Officials confirmed that several buildings were hit by debris. Glass and concrete fell to the ground, damaging cars and storefronts. The blast left deep marks on the city's streets. Tragically, one civilian was killed in the attack. The victim was an Asian worker, according to officials. This is the first confirmed civilian death in the current crisis. Several others were injured, some treated for burns, and others for wounds from flying glass. People in the area described scenes of confusion. Some hid in underground parking garages, others ran to nearby mosques and schools for shelter. The city's hospitals quickly filled with the injured, but medical teams remained calm and organized. The government offered condolences to the victim's family. They promised support for everyone affected and called for unity in the face of danger. Behind every headline, there are real people. The missile strike in Abu Dhabi has changed lives. Families worry about loved ones. Workers fear for their jobs and safety. Children are afraid to go outside. The sense of security is broken. The victim's name was not released, but friends remember a hardworking person who came to the UAE for a better life. His death shocked the community, especially other foreign workers who now fear for their own safety. Small businesses in the area also suffered, with shops closed and goods destroyed. Local officials visited the injured at hospitals, bringing words of comfort. Counseling teams set up support stations for those struggling with trauma. The city's famous peaceful atmosphere was replaced by sirens and anxious crowds. The human cost of conflict is always high. For the people of Abu Dhabi, this attack is a painful reminder of how quickly life can change. The chaos unfolding in Abu Dhabi is just the beginning of a much larger crisis. Emergency responders rushed through smoke-filled streets, trying to bring order to a city shaken by sudden violence. This incident is only part of a larger wave of violence that is rapidly spreading across the Middle East, leaving devastation in its wake and affecting countless lives. As news of the missile strike broke, people in neighboring countries watched anxiously, glued to their televisions and phones, desperate for updates and fearing what might come next. The fear is palpable. Many worry that their own cities could soon be targeted, and uncertainty hangs heavy in the air as night falls. Reports of casualties and widespread damage are still coming in from several locations, with emergency vehicles racing from one disaster site to another, and journalists struggling to keep up with the rapidly changing situation. In Iran, officials have yet to confirm the exact number of people hurt or killed in recent clashes. Hospitals are treating the wounded, but the true scale of the tragedy remains unclear. Communication is slow and often blocked, making it difficult for families to check on loved ones. In Israel, the situation is tense as well, with authorities on high alert. Rockets have been fired toward Israeli borders, triggering air raid sirens in several towns. Civilians scramble for shelter, unsure when the next attack might come. Bahrain and Qatar are also on high alert, with security forces patrolling the streets and checkpoints set up throughout major cities. Police are inspecting vehicles at roadblocks and increasing security at airports, trying to prevent further attacks and maintain order amid the chaos. Many families across the region have been separated by closed borders and disrupted travel, with empty chairs at dinner tables serving as a painful reminder of loved ones who are missing or unreachable. Communication blackouts and damaged phone lines make it nearly impossible for people to contact relatives, adding to the sense of isolation and despair. Aid groups say many people are still missing, and volunteers are working tirelessly, searching through rubble and distributing missing persons posters in hopes of reuniting families. Hospitals in several countries are overwhelmed, with doctors and nurses working around the clock to treat the wounded. Medical supplies are running low, and the need for help is growing by the hour. Across the region, people huddle in shelters, afraid to return home. City streets are eerily empty at night, patrolled by military vehicles as fear and uncertainty grip the population. The true number of casualties may be much higher than reported, as chaos and confusion make it difficult to get accurate information. For many, the nightmare is far from over, and the region waits anxiously for what will happen next. CNN and other news agencies have reporters across the Middle East, bringing updates from Iran, Israel, Bahrain, and Qatar. In Tehran, journalists describe tense streets and closed shops. Police and military vehicles are everywhere. People speak quietly, worried about what might come next. In Israel, reporters are stationed near military bases. They show images of tanks and troop carriers moving toward the northern border. Soldiers prepare for possible attacks. The mood is serious but calm. In Bahrain and Qatar, news teams report heavy security at key sites, with checkpoints set up overnight. Many reporters face dangers as they try to cover the story. They wear protective gear and stay close to official briefings. Their updates help the world understand how fast the situation is changing. The whole region watches and waits, hoping for peace but preparing for more violence. World leaders moved quickly to respond to the Abu Dhabi attack. The UAE's Ministry of Defense held a press conference, calling the strike an act of aggression and promising to protect the country's people. Iran's government released a brief statement, neither confirming nor denying their involvement. Former President Donald Trump spoke out, calling for a strong response to protect our friends and allies. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed his nation, warning of possible new attacks, and saying we will not back down in the face of threats. Other countries, including Bahrain and Qatar, called for calm and urged all sides to avoid further violence. The international community is watching closely, with many leaders demanding accountability and peace talks. The official statements show how serious the situation is. Each leader's words add pressure, raising hopes for peace while preparing for the worst. Inside Iran, the situation is tense and secretive. Government leaders have moved to secure underground bunkers, fearing more attacks or unrest. The country's main internet networks were shut down soon after the missile launch, making it hard for information to get out. People in Tehran and other cities report long lines at stores and gas stations. Rumors spread quickly, but few details are confirmed. Military checkpoints block key roads. The government has increased security around official buildings and power plants. There is confusion about who is in control and what might happen next. Many Iranians are worried about their safety. They face uncertainty every day, with little news from the outside world. The blackout means families are separated and worried, with no way to communicate with loved ones in other cities. As night falls again across the region, military forces are on the move. Israel has called up thousands of reserve troops, sending them to bases near the border. Tanks and armored vehicles roll through the streets, ready for any new threat. Air defense systems stand by, scanning the skies. The UAE has set up more checkpoints in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. Bahrain and Qatar have increased their own security, watching for signs of trouble. The whole region feels the pressure of possible new attacks. No one knows what will happen next. People hope for an end to the violence, but fear that more is coming. The tension is real and growing, with each country preparing for what may be a long and difficult crisis.